Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan American Flight 111 with non-stop service from JFK, New York to Heathrow, London, UK. Please remain in your seats as we begin the safety demonstration. Be sure all carry-on luggage is safely stowed in the overhead compartment. Once seated, secure your safety harness by placing the metal tab into the buckle until you hear it click, then tighten by pulling the strap to your left. As always, please refrain from smoking until after we have completed our takeoff, at which time your stewardess will be around with a variety of cigarettes and beverages for your enjoyment. Should you require anything during the flight, please press the call button on the overhead panel and a member of our staff will assist you as quickly as possible. My name is Susie, and thank you for flying Pan American. If you were lucky enough to hear that speech during the 1960s, you had the privilege of flying Pan Am, America's trendiest and most popular airline of the day. Pan American World Airways was notable for its unique rise to success, its presence as a cultural icon, and its lasting historical significance. So with our seat backs and tray tables in their upright and locked positions, let's explore how Pan Am changed the course of air travel. Pan Am first took off in 1927 as a mail and passenger carrier between the United States and the Panama Canal Zone. What distinguished it from its competitors was its emphasis on employee training. Pan Am was adamant about promoting workers from within the company, often training their mechanics how to fly. That meant that when you flew Pan Am, your captain had the skills and experience to repair and maintain the aircraft. In fact, there were several instances during these early years of planes being stranded overseas, while the pilot rolled up his sleeves and performed the repairs himself. It was this high proficiency of the crew and a reputation for excellence which helped grow the company to become America's largest airline by the 1960s, flying the most flights to the most destinations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed our climb and are soaring at 30,000 feet. You are now free to move about the cabin. Much of Pan Am's immense popularity during the 1960s came from the Pan Am image. It was stylish to fly Pan Am, a fashion statement. Pan Am branded itself by placing pretty stewardesses flaunting the infamous Pan Am smile in their commercials. Pan Am pilots were attributed the same prestige as doctors and were lusted after like firemen or athletes. When the Beatles arrived at the newly named JFK International Airport for their first U.S. visit in 1964, the world watched them step off a Pan Am flight. What other choice was there? Pan Am also capitalized on the space craze of the 60s by starting a waiting list for the first commercial flight to the moon. Customers could actually buy a ticket to the final frontier, even though there was no Pan Am aircraft yet to carry them there. The 1968 film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, even showed images of travelers exploring the galaxy on ships bearing the Pan Am logo. But this airline is no stranger to the movies. When the secretary of Secret Agent James Bond is booking him a flight in a 1963 film, he tells her, Pan Am, as always. The film Catch Me If You Can depicts actual crimes during the 60s when con artist Frank Abagnale Jr. impersonates a Pan Am pilot in order to board free flights and forge checks from the airline. Last season, ABC premiered a new drama named after the iconic airline, depicting the lives of its pilots and flight attendants from the early 1960s. While it's nice to be recognized for your smile or be immortalized in the movies, Pan Am also pioneered many advancements of the commercial jet industry. Pan Am was the first airline to use the Boeing 747, a staple in modern travel. Newly elected First Lady Pat Nixon was even present to christen the inaugural flight. Pan Am also had the industry's first computerized booking system. They commissioned IBM to create a computer which would not only electronically keep track of all their flights and passengers, but cross-reference their destinations with local hotels. This appliance may have been the genesis of electronic booking, but it also was so large and bulky that it took up the entire fourth floor of the Pan Am high-rise in Manhattan. The airline also gave back to the American people by offering free R&R flights for active Vietnam servicemen, giving soldiers a brief vacation during their service abroad. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll fasten your seatbelts once again, we'll begin our descent. Although Pan Am really took flight in the 60s, reaching high-altitude benchmarks for financial success and popularity, it hit some turbulence over the years. Pan Am always branded itself as an international carrier, and executives failed to capitalize on the growing domestic market. In January of 1991, the company filed for bankruptcy and is still in debt to this day. But it's the streamlined image of the 1960s that still comes to mind when we hear the words Pan American Airlines. It is a marketing brand that is truly larger than life and far more lasting than any mere corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have greatly enjoyed flying with you today. Please watch your step, and thank you for choosing Pan Am.